On February 11, 2011, at a press conference in London, Microsoft CEO Steve Ballmer and Nokia CEO Stephen Elop announced a partnership between their companies in which Windows Phone would be the smartphone operating system for Nokia, replacing Symbian. The event focused largely on setting up a new global mobile ecosystem, suggesting competition with Android and iOS with the words, "It is now a three-horse race." However, 8 years down the line, the other two horses overtook the up and coming third horse and pushed it out of the race. In today's episode, we'll try to discuss the reasons why the Windows Phone declined and finally had to be discontinued. Let's begin.
For any phone to function smoothly, there needs to be a proper system of apps in place so that one can get all their tasks done. However, Windows phones lacked proper app support. It mostly supported only Microsoft apps. Many popular apps such as Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat were never available on Windows phones. This made it difficult for users to justify switching to a Windows phone as they would be missing out on some of their favorite apps. Another problem with Windows phones was the limited carrier support. Only a few major carriers, such as AT&T and T-Mobile, offered Windows phones. This made it difficult for users to find a Windows phone that was compatible with their carrier. This isn't the problem for the Indian consumer, but the concept of carrier-locked phones is very popular in North America. Windows phones had a unique user interface that was different from both Android and iOS. This made it difficult for users to switch to Windows, as they would have to learn a new way of interacting with their phone. While making an operating system, there's only one thing that matters: simplicity. People of all ages, be it a 10-year-old or a 70-year-old, should be able to use your new phone. This wasn't the case with Windows OS, and they weren't able to deliver on this aspect.
The Windows Phone ecosystem was too small. There were simply not as many apps, games, and services available for Windows phones as there were for Android and iOS. This made it difficult for users to find the content they wanted on Windows phones. Good software is of no use if the hardware cannot support it. Windows phones were often criticized for having subpar hardware. The cameras weren't as good as the cameras on Android and iOS phones, and the battery life wasn't as long as well. Microsoft also did a poor job of marketing Windows phones. They didn't do enough to generate excitement about the platform, and they didn't make it easy for users to learn about Windows phones.
Microsoft seemed to be unsure of what it wanted Windows phones to be. They were marketed as a premium platform, but they were priced more competitively than its Android or iOS counterparts. This made it difficult for users to understand what Windows phones were supposed to be, and that ultimately hurt the platform's sales. Overall, Microsoft just spent a lot of money acquiring the Nokia mobile division without a clear vision of how they wanted to transform it into the Windows phone. And they had to ultimately sell it to HMD Global for a way lesser price than which they bought it at. Microsoft was also late into bringing the Windows Phone into existence. Windows phones were released at a time where the smartphone market was already dominated by Android and iOS. This made it difficult for Windows phones to gain traction as they were seen as being inferior to Android and iOS.
Most enthusiasts loved the concept of this Windows Phone and still miss it to this date. Even I had a lot of Windows phones, and my parents have used many models of Microsoft Lumia. I really liked their software experience, and it was fun playing around with it when I was a kid, like randomly resizing the icon size in the home screen to small, medium, large, and all those quirky things that Windows Phone operating system had. For people who have used the Windows Phone, it was an unforgettable and unique experience, and most people, including me, want the Windows Phone to make a comeback. And in my opinion, if Microsoft really wants, they can make it possible. Actually, they just need to get like developers on board to make apps compatible with the Windows Phone, and they need to launch phones with decent specs at a decent price point. They could probably launch smaller size phones as well, tapping into the niche segment of the audience who feel left out these days because there's only Asus who's launching compact phones these days. Talking about Windows Phone making a comeback, I think Microsoft tried that with the Surface Duo, their foldable phones, but I don't think it took off that well. So I'm not sure if Microsoft will try a hand again at the Windows phones, but when it existed, it was a legacy, and the nostalgia will be always there when you talk about the Windows Phone.
Ends this episode. If any of you guys owned a Microsoft Lumia phone or a Windows OS phone, do let us know in the comments down below. If you like this video, then feel free to share it with any of your friends who you'd also think would be interested in this video. And fun fact, this video script was written by Google Bard. Athar gave it a few prompts, so that's an interesting fact. And if you guys like this video, do let us know, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.